Hey everybody, this is some impromptu remarks I'm recording because as I was going back through episode 1 of Arpeggio of Blue Steel for footage and screen grabs and things, basically I've already recorded my thoughts and edited the audio. I just need some video backing of some kind to make it a video. And I was thinking, this occurred to me the first time I watched through the series and I didn't get past episode like 6. And it occurred to me just now as I'm watching it just to get screen grabs, not actually to watch it. It's really hard to watch the early episodes of this show. And it's not in the way that I am mad at the show. It's not like I'm getting so furious. I'm like that I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. I am being intensely disturbed by this. And I mean disturbed, like it's getting to me and making me like, media is supposed to upset you or make you laugh or make you cry, emotional resonance, that thing I keep I talked about in other contexts. And so it's good, right? But it's like everyone kind of has that thing where it's like, even this isn't bad, but it is pushing me away. My reaction, I find this super unpleasant. And I was thinking about why. Why am I reacting this way to this? And it is specifically, I've kind of managed to localize what bothers me. It's the interaction between the Fleet of Fog and everyone who's not our main cast. And it's related to the fictional trope that is identified most commonly as the Redshirt trope. This is from Star Trek. You may have heard it, you may have seen it on TV tropes. The Redshirt is the kind of the lowest level of good guy soldier. The Mook is the standard disposable bad guy enemy. The red shirt is kind of his opposite. In a game of chess, they're the pawns. They're numerous, they're expendable. You don't really care if like one or two or many of them die, as long as the objective is completed. Red shirts are disposable good guy soldiers. And I fucking hate that trope. At least the way it's often presented and treated. Also, my wireless headset is allowing me to move around the room, and I am doing so because I'm actually I'm moved, so I am literally moving. You may notice weird signal things because I keep moving around, and I apologize, but this is kind of getting to me. This is an off the cuff. I don't have prepared notes. I just have the way I've been thinking about it for a while. Of course, I'll be editing out some of the pauses, awkward breathing, but the thoughts would just be completely off the cuff. Why do I hate the red shirt trope as it's presented? I'm going to go back to, you'll probably find I harp on this series a lot because it's one of my favorites, Attack on Titan, the anime. And specifically, I want to address one of the things that made me fall in love with Attack on Titan the very first time. The first thing is in episode 1, a dude comes in who is a red shirt. He's not a main cast member. He's not particularly important. He's been presented in a pretty standard way so far. He's gotten a couple lines. It's time for this guy to step up and try to fight the Titan and save the hero, and he's gonna die. Like, his role in the story is now to die. He's gonna charge the enemy and die to show us that it's serious by killing off a character who's not important. But he knows he's gonna die. He looks at it, he takes one look at this horrifying thing, and then he grabs the kids and he just runs. He's like, fuck it, we're going. I can't beat him. If I go up against him, I'm just going to die, so we're going to run away. That is realistic. That is human. That is not what the trope would expect, which is to die to prove the situation is serious, to throw away a red shirt, to prove that, oh no. And that moment of him acting like a human and not a red shirt, I swear to you, that moment is when I fell in love with the show, and the passion may have died down since I watched it like 10 times and I've read ahead in the manga, but it has never stopped. And that is the moment that I will be citing 30 years from now if I get my university classes and I will be talking with my students about writing, and I will bore the shit out of them with that moment. It comes back to the fact of who matters. Who's worth caring about, because it's not necessarily that the Redshirts are dying. That's the problem. You know, people die in war. Again, in Attack on Titan, people die by the job lots. Innocent civilians, random soldiers, they just get cut down. So many people die in this. And the thing is, the main cast of Attack on Titan actually has a pretty decent survival rate. Like, that show has a Game of Thrones-like reputation for killing people, but it's not like that. The main cast has a great survival ratio, but the anyone who's not a main cast member, you're in so much fucking trouble. And yet the way it's treated, it's I guess back to the idea that tropes are not bad or good inherently, it's what you do with them. And later on in Arpeggio, it will be our main heroes versus the big bad guy. So it will be a fight between two forces that have a chance to win. But in any battle that's not the main characters, the good guys are fucked. It's that shonen anime, straight up, play it straight kind of. The enemies are invincible to anyone but the main heroes. Which, to be fair, Attack on Titan also pulls that, but it's in a different way. But we're looping back around to how we treat people. Excuse me if my voice is weird. It's summer, we got pollen and whatnot. This is just an off-the-cuff sort of thing. When someone dies in Attack on Titan, regardless of if they're a big bad, a big, good person, a mook, well, I mean, the mooks are the regular Titans, so that doesn't, they're zombies. But anytime a person, a human being dies, even if they're a random civilian, even if they have no lines, it's treated like it matters. The soundtrack, the sound design, the setup, the editing, the narration, the element, the way a story is presented to us, we are meant to see this as a terrible thing that these people are dying. And compare that to the throwaway. The series clearly doesn't care. We are not meant to care. Maybe I'm an outlier here. But when I see these battle scenes with these soldiers trying to fight these fucking alien battleships and their weapons have no effect, and they're just getting cut down casual. That's the thing, the casualness. It's not that the bad guys are killing people casually. That's what bad guys do. It's that the series itself seems to almost share their premise that, so what? And this kind of goes to a fundamental outlook on people and humanity. And in my episode 1 rumination about Arpeggio, I touched briefly on the collectivism versus individualism. Obviously, no one is on completely one side of that spectrum. We're human beings. It's like introversion versus extroversion. You can't be 100 on one or the other, even if you think you are, because that person wouldn't function. They'd be broke. It just wouldn't happen. The same way here, maybe that's the perspective. Maybe that's what I'll be able to offer, is the idea that the stirring parts for me for Attack on Titan was, the sacrifice and honor and blah, blah, blah. And it works in general. It's not militarism on its face, but people working together to solve problems, people working together. It's often said that the story of Attack on Titan is the story of humanity. Even in the opening, we see the main characters fighting, and this show has a big cast anyhow, but we also see regular people rising up to fight. It makes all the difference, I swear, the way it's presented. That's why it bothers me, and there's some scenes ahead in the next episodes that I will be really upset by, and this is the core of the emotional. There's logical problems that you can pick, and there's things where you're like, this was a mistake, I don't agree with this, but this is why my subjective enjoyment, my viewing enjoyment is impacted in this way. And I don't know, I hope some of this makes sense. If I had prepared notes, it would be a more collected experience, but so I may go over points again, or I'm a little scatterbrained most days, which makes these sort of recap, review analysis videos really interesting to do. And like I said, I'm certain there will be audio weirdness in the headset, and I apologize, but I am actually like pacing. I have been pacing. You might have heard from the fact that I am like half yelling into this microphone the entire time. It's gotten to me, and I needed to talk about, and I think talking about it kind of helps. Sometimes talking about your problems really doesn't help some people, but I think it's helpful in this case. I've been talking for like 10 minutes about this subject and saying, so this isn't like an objective, this is a flaw. I do have some of those with this series, with Arpeggio Blue Steel. This is the subjective, this is my opinion, all my videos are just my opinion. I mean, I have facts and I have assertions and I have arguments, but if it doesn't bother you, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. If you're into, it's sort of related to, again, the perspective that the show has on humanity. I'm reminded of the brilliant Fred Clark over at the blog Slacktivist. He's a liberal evangelical who does deconstructions of the Left Behind books, like the Left Behind series, the evangelical, rapture bullshit. And I mean deconstruction page by page. He takes it apart. He shows why this isn't Christian, this isn't biblical, this isn't Jesus. In fact, he calls the Left Behind series anti-Christian, because, the Antichrist, and they're focused on fighting the Antichrist. That's what their religion is about, rather than being like, Jesus. And even as someone who isn't exactly in that particular circle, let's put it that way, I found a lot of what he said moving, and and a lot of his perspective is the way the narrative frames it. I'm obviously, many shows have the thing where only the main cast matters to some degree, but this is often an effect of budget, narrative focus, an accident. It is not intended to literally show only the main cast matters. In Left Behind, it is deliberately shown that no, really, that's the message. I don't think that's the message in Arpeggio exactly, but in the anime, the fighting anime shonen Fist of the North Star tradition, where you have innocent victims who can't do anything, or victims who can't do anything, bwahaha bad guys, and our lone hero, and maybe his friends who are also fighters. But like, it's the kill a kill thing. It's also kind of why some parts of that got to me, because you have the faceless mass of powerless people, and then you have the few who can strong and stand, and ubermensch and overhuman, and the people who stand up, the individuals. And it's not the individualism, it's the presentation of the normal man as being powerless, I guess. That's what it comes down. We're getting to the root. We're getting to the root directory here. And again, this is just perspective, but Attack on Titan presenting the, even ordinary humans, not just our protagonist, but ordinary people, are capable of doing things, are capable of fighting back. And they're not going to win on their own, because then the story would be over. But it is kind of a narrative of them being doomed, but it's my mental process is wandering all the fuck over right now because I'm agitated. But zombie stuff. Compare the standard zombie stuff, which you have the lone survivor and their group, and humanity is bad, and fight the dead but fear the living. Walking Dead. Compare that to World War Z by Max Brooks, one of my favorite fucking books of all time. World War Z I recommend it to people, and I guess zombies have saturated our culture to the point where, one of the measures you can take is, would you recommend this to someone who isn't a zombie fanatic? Absolutely. Because the zombies are, and I guess this does loop back, because Titans are just giant zombies in many ways. They serve the same function. They do the same things, but they're just harder to kill. They just have more advantages in the classic, monster fiction where they're powerful, but they have the weakness, and if you hit their weakness, they're done. It's always that. In World War Z, we see the perspective of so many people, of humanity, of numerous people, and we see people acting badly. We see people fucking up, not just fucking up, but being malicious, being bad. We see bad people The new Battlestar Galactica has the dark and edgy reboot thing to it, and yet we also see through that, like, I guess it's kind of telling that one of my favorite characters in the new BSG was Hilo. I fucking love Hilo. Basically, all the stuff he was in, I'm really glad. If you haven't seen BSG, go watch it. I'm not gonna give spoilers, but the new BSG, also one of my favorite things. And so you see, Attack on Titan, Battlestar Galactica. These are not shows that are hesitant to kind of crush you. As a matter of fact, that's kind of or even The Walking Dead game, Telltale's The Walking Dead game. You know, not quite the same, but these are not, Attack on Titan is not a show. They're trying to crush you. They're trying to make you feel sad. They're trying to make you feel afraid. They're trying to get you emotionally involved in, and it's not in the traditional, ooh, we're having fun, wee. There's more than one type of fun. There's an infinite variety of enjoyment, the vicarious thrill, experiencing something that you never will. But these shows are trying, and I will get into, and maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's because when I watch a thing, I want to get swept away. Not just the level of, forget about the world and imagine a new world, but like it's that sense of sitting in the theater and watching it and just taking it. And obviously now I've also developed the ability, hopefully, that sentence was going to come out a little arrogant, to analyze, critique, but never losing that childlike sense of getting swept up in it and enjoying the emotions. And I subscribe to Polygon because it has exactly one emotion. We are officially derailed on the mental train, everybody. I hope this was a coherent thing. I had to get my thoughts down. I had to. I couldn't keep, because especially since this didn't make it into my rumination of episode 1, and I'm like, I'll do it. I'll make it like an overall thing on the series or something, but I want to make sure I got it. Because this kind of thing matters to me. I get involved in fiction. I care about fictional shit. I mean, I get emotionally into it. I want to be affected by the fiction I read. I want to write that kind of fiction too. I'm an amateur writer and I'm going to make videos about that. But, so that's where I'm coming from. That's my perspective. That's some of the reasons, the main reasons I think. We've kind of dug into why it can be uncomfortable for me to watch these early battle scenes when it's the hopeless Redshirts fighting against the bad guys. And the narrative doesn't provide, because that's also many Attack on Titan scenes, but the presentation differences, and obviously if you disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. On anything but this particularly, if you guys want to leave a comment, how did I present my perspective in a way that's understandable? Was this incoherent? Do you agree? Do you disagree? As long as we could talk back and forth like human beings to each other, hey, it's a success, right? So, hope you guys enjoyed. Computer, you better not go to fucking sleep after I just spent 20 minutes pouring my heart. Alright, I'll see you guys next time.